Hello, Judge Napolitano and Wethersfield Police have been, and with other police forums, since before, some of them since they were kids, because some of them were the ones with my area, retired and standing, involved with having influenced the kids to on and off campuses, connected, illusions positing, evidence is crime, federal rules of evidence is crime method rules. For example, using color too, and sequence shifts, and identity thefts and frauds. 10 months ago, Wethersfield Police called even more officers they brought into them switching names. They made confessions with an officer named, who gave the name Sullivan. Then I called the Wethersfield Police. They confirmed it was one of their officers. He's switching names. So these are people that attached me to fake conversations with them since I was a kid. That weren't at all. They did this with doctors too. Wethersfield Police have been planting evidences with the F.B.I. leading up to the World Trade Center attack and since. They said it has something to do with how they've been using the spots around the corner of Celestine Highway and Town Line Drive in Rock Hill, Wethersfield through time. And they will pretend other, relevant to and as the roles with the courts, saying the same thing, switching and forging names, all positions of the courts, even how they have remote uses of the women judges and the male judges, and the women prosecutors and the male prosecutors is actually recorded, is also evidence. But you guys have been roles with the policing uses of your Facebook pages also for predicate acts and cases. The policing of Fox News has been lying to you. And they've been using this method, singular, that is a whole bunch of methods bound. They're not letting us tell them the method. That's why it's relevant because, for example, so they brought all these names into it that sought me out as complete strangers, tied to as people I didn't, barely know. And I only know through that. And then there's a Joshua Julian, a complete stranger, who gave shifting narratives on Facebook, as one of the people that are threatening and torturing me not to say anything because they've been stacking me and everyone around me to fake words with each other and with other people, fake ties to other people, fake natures of ties to other people. They lied about the outcome of outcomes in cases with news, Connecticut News, Fox Connecticut News, NBC Connecticut News, and WFSB. They have wire crime acts already like that, and roles with the online and the readings of the statutes that pretend they don't realize the exceptions and exception nature. Originally, still, that's manifest. When people, so then they need to pretend. So they're used remotely. How are they going to pretend that they care about America? They pretend to be about democracy. They pretend to be about and simultaneously against Islam's treatments. So they are forcing physical delusions entertained and in collusion, as collusion/S, with the Wethersfield Police with the wire crimes, replacing what's actually recorded, lying about what's actually the value of themselves over the phone in their lives, actually what they think about other people. In other words, they're in the background making up lies, saying whatever to hide their lie progressions now, hide what's actually recorded, their natures that's relevant because of criminal insidiousness. I'm not even a lawyer. I'm not a police form. Their lawyers are also involved with them fabricating audio and video. They have been making charges against people at courts to keep their mouth shut. So they have a whole bunch of predicate acts in various natures of cases that are also relevant to and as their treatments of Paul Manafort and on off Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut. And there's a Paul Manafort Drive next to it. Has a whole bunch of people involved with an O'Brien family /IES, and with the name Cololo and their extended family members, which also they said was involved with the Scalora family. Wethersfield police recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed a Scalora family and people with the name Cololo were involved with identity thefts and frauds with them and with their extended family members, as people with other Wethersfield police like tomorrow involved with families in the World Trade Center. He made confessions about his ties and roles with the houses next to the World Trade Center, next to the Connecticut State Judicial Branch offices that haven't had predicate acts in the past, roles with them, and with people associated with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso. Also, Enzo Fienzo recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed roles having been fabricating evidences and wire crime roles with people intercities and along Route 3 that goes by the State Judicial Branch office, and that little street that goes by it, right next to the State Judicial Branch offices. There is a Fienzo family. I forgot his cousin's name, who also non-verbally confirmed this. They have roles with Rocky Hill Police, Wethersfield Police, people on off the State Judicial Branch offices, also on off 2 Route Highway with Kevin Dillon, involved with the child abuses, child offenders through time. On my street, involved also with identity theft, fraud, slanders, falsified police reports, and these wire crimes with the phones with the police, the phones with the news companies, and tied to their wire crime acts and lies with their stories. They attached me and my family members to fake words with themselves and others. And they did it pretending passions and emotions why they didn't want to communicate with them, because they were involved with sequence shifts, pretending in passions and emotions like they could deal with the story honestly. They were involved with the federal criminals and people involved with the federal criminals in cases they lied about the outcomes of. By pretending me and others having been in conversations with themselves and their family members about cases, including as doctors. They attached me as a fake ties to a doctor, as a doctor as a kid that weren't at all. And then they tied me to fake conversations with a doctor as an adult. They went out of their way to pretend they had conversations with me, a Leahy family. I never had a conversation with them in my life. Doctors with a Hartford hospital triage. So they have roles with various natures of federal criminals proven in various natures of cases, including ones that were the co-defendants of former director of the F.B.I, Robert Luskin, in a 2006 district court case. Every year leading up to that, from 2000, 2001, about 2000, I had already been trying to get someone to respond to what they asked me for. Help, because Hartford courts and the Britain courts, I found out later, were involved with predicate acts and with organized crime, like wrongdoing that, evidence reception, data reception, identity reception, and other natures of uses of needs for that off campuses because of their roles on and off campuses, intercities, with natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders, also in the form of evidences crimes, of medical crimes, and natures of identity theft, fraud, slander is relevant to that which makes treatments of color, but it can't defend itself because there's little fake integrity at locations, areas, and states, criminally foreign influenced sciences, individually grouped together, simultaneously delusions raw, fact, cheaping nature, qualities. So Wethersfield police switch and forge names and pretend passions and emotions while they're slandering people and building upon self. Oh, where's the evidence? The courts do this grouped with them too. They're preventing people free speech and right to defend themselves, and right to claim yourself innocent until proven guilty. They've been proven to keep people guilty by preventing people free speech, keeping all exception nature employed in a demonstration of the same thing. So various natures of courts had roles with the same criminal activities and uses of them at locations. They have shared uses of a location, where and how they are used remotely as fake identity and integrity. So they have been lying. It also uses kids from campuses that aren't connected and kids in their campuses, like Ray Reynolds is one of the names involved with. He was in he was in a kindergarten class with me, and now there's some medical families involved with him, and with a Harris family, and they've been stacking fake things into databases, fake ties between little kids, that never even had classes together, exploiting little exceptions like that. And they were putting other fake things in databases since way back then. And with the houses next to that grammar school, next to that kindergarten, I don't know what grade it went up to. Now it's I'll do the home, I believe, whatever it is. And there were these are people also involved with spots next to the other schools, kept needing to hide life progressions together, and uses of Hartford Hospital and the Institute of Living on that campus, since slavery was left in the North and in the South, distinctly too, relevant to this, and that campus's roles. So there's a whole bunch of people on my street with my area involved with the Leahy family that are victim reactions to them too, with the FBI. They're all their FBI. Either someone pretending to be Ian up the street, tied to him anyway. On Twitter, also involved further with upskirt nature and pictures, of the uses of the digital pictures, also of the kids around the principal child abuser's campus, the principal upskirt nature's campus. Then and now, a Leahy family has their daughter involved and has other kids and girls of the school's pictures involved. This is how they do things for the little boys and girls. Identity thefts and frauds against other kids from other classrooms that and attaching the fake words, fake locations, fake ties to other people, fake natures of ties to other people, even fake words they attach to their families. All database relationships has something to do with where and how they have fire departments used remotely, wire crimes. And how they switch names. And so there are women at Trinity College who, when I was a kid, they confessed, demonstrated, recorded, confirmed what is actually recorded. Wethersfield police and police forms, people and various forms of police that are associated with and or as some of the kids that were in my age range. They were attaching me to fake words and location. In other words, they were pretending to know me by taking a picture of me standing next to me. That's why, and or just having, and making confessions that I don't even respond to. In other words, people that have groups that know each other, they pretend to know other people offensively as the people further, as what is then and further involved with the principal child abuser's campus and the wire crimes. So the courts prevented anyone from telling on it by fabricating things and torturing people. They've been using this method since before the World Trade Center attack, as their rules with Afghanistan criminally before the World Trade Center attack, as the people involved with the Keene family and the Keene Foundation and the Wethersfield Police. And that's also the locations right next to the state judicial branch offices, rolls with the Fienza family right there too, and on Two Route Highway and along Route 3, intercities, involved with various mayors, their family members with predicate acts, and with jailing communities, people that work for them. In the military, foreign and domestic, has something to do with Elm Street and Rocky Hill, police, and people that were in 2 cooking classes I had. Both have involvements with predicate acts out of their locations and from their uses as their uses of the courts, which originally still relevant to what is actually recorded in New York City. They're still playing that stupid game in every state where they go, oh, either you're for the police or you're not, or either you're, and they're using words like criminals. They're highly criminal, fake sides. They're in collusion with overt criminal enterprises with the areas and uses of them where how manifest is actually recorded, uses of the identity, the science to share individually grouped and together, and where and how it shares a special relativity to subject treatments like slavery, which is inseparable from torture and identity theft, frauds, and slanders. If we're going to be equality, a fact-cheating nature, to pretend to be able to handle that properly. So what is can't handle that properly needs to pretend other. Self-values means handed right there to get away with it by pretending to be against racism, by pretending to be against prejudice, rather than the actual, that's how they pretend to be for the law, hurting people, valuing that other people hurt other people, and they can pretend, don't realize how that was, in other words, could have been prevented. And but for the roles too of the people pretending to study the problems, they're increasingly kept too simultaneously delusions wrought because of the misinformation, because of the crime methods saying they don't see evidences, and pretending that people make conspiracy theories simultaneously. For example, that's one of the things that countries individually grouped and together stay formally self-value, having been used remotely, criminally foreign influence, simultaneously delusions wrought as criminal insidious nature, where and how it is applied, where and how for example, they are preventing offensively with insidious positive treatments, insidious negative treatments, and identity treatments simultaneously, sequence treatments, the value of what is simultaneous. What is simultaneous? When there was slavery and witch trials, the value of what is simultaneous. Oh, we're just focusing on slavery. Oh, we're just focusing on witch trials. Get down. You see what I'm saying? Your Honor, please follow mandated law for Wethersfield Police and from the Britain Superior Court, Hartford Courts, and Middletown Courts, and all these names they brought in. Give me one, because they've been switching names, forging names. They pretend anger and they pretend smile and humor, as little fakes. And it's relevant where and how they have the methods of child abuse, where the news media are multi-front in collusion with proven child sex offenders, leaders of the kids forced. Because then and now, the people that were recorded forcing it are interbranch family members who have their kids there, who were used since they were kids, little remote fake integrity, because they were child abused, specifically for that remote integrity, fake. So please respond for the Wethersfield Police. I asked Miss Keene for help. Because the Wethersfield Police, little cowards, little punk cowards. Excuse me, Your Honor, I'm speaking so they hear that. Because they have to speak about my behavior. They've been lying about it. I gave them one chance. I mean, I knew they were going to lie. I did one time. I forced them to put fake things on paper because they were playing a game where they bridge the government. What they do, they have people that you don't know the names of, make confessions verbally, and people tied to them make confessions verbally, and then the other people non-verbally demonstrated true, like a detective Kevin Dillon was waving into the window of my neighbor, and it was an Anna Dillon, and there's an Annie Dillon also involved with real estate companies, transactions, and roles with the F.B.I. and CIA families, and state police families, and Wethersfield police families, and the Britain Superior Court families, and Hartford Court families, that all have ties to the instances that involve the same house /S on my street, and tied to them. And now these are names like the name Cole brought up by the Wethersfield Police with the name Sullivan, switching, forging names. Wire crimes like 10 months ago, I called them the other day. They hung up on me, pretending passion mode. Coward! Make sure I get them on paper, that I'm one-to-one name in sequence to just speak for the behavior, because they have roles further then and now. There's the principal child abusers made more confessions to me. They hid that and pretended our conversations were over emails. They've been fabricating audit emails. Has something to do with a whole bunch of people on Zion Street through time, next to Trinity College in Hartford, have roles with identity theft, fraud, slanders with the Collusion family and others involved with wire crimes, and with falsified police reports through time, on and off Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, on and off Hartford campuses, and Hartford Hospital's campus, and Trinity College's campuses, leading up to the 2006 district court case. In that context, and leading up to the World Trade Center attack, people associated with predicate acts over there have predicate acts on my street rules, identity thefts and fraud, slander rules, and with foreign and domestic military involved with Mark Violet and his brother Mike Violet, and with people all along Wells Road and Church Street in Old Wethersfield, in the corner of Church Street and Main Street, all the way to Central Connecticut State University in the Britain. That road and route has people involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, that they also coordinated on campuses. And they also coordinate pretended motivations, nature's needs, interests, even when they're real, because they're needing to hide the other actually recorded motivations of others consciously and preemptively. So it's relevant to where and how the metaphysics of the law, so to speak, which can be demonstrated, but you guys are pretending to hear theories. The metaphysics of the law, where treatments of black and white are solid value, are black or, where they make color, black, and then the Native Americans red. In other words, you have entertained formally branches of government. What can't be entertained and us defended at the same time. You guys are preventing offensively mandated law to demonstrate this. You are valuing, your styles of logic valuing, because you've been lied to about by the police forms who take care of your Facebook pages, by yourself and others, and also because not paying attention. Because in other words, readings of statutes originally still criminally foreign influence. Remote uses of roles, pretend needs, and natures pretending other. How can we teach about what was entrenched here as that breaching method of laws, claiming to be as the only identity the law allowed to speak and be heard? And that was in conjunctive to identity, the ground locations of education, sciences abridged, individually grouped in together. So nature was and increasingly is demonstrating that. So people need to say, times got better. How could you say times didn't get better? They set that up for people to do that. Speak with, use comparison, physical delusions juxtaposed, and pretending to be against how, and then they pretend, it's hate. Well, you guys are delusions. And they don't even know what a delusion is. In other words, because our experts too have physical delusions, but they've also been attaching people to fake conversations with them. I know how they've been getting away with it. All kinds of little tricks too that lawyers are involved with all private and formal interbranch locations. So please follow mandated law for Wethersfield Police, Judge Napolitano. This is torture since before the World Trade Center. So Patriot Act and all that stuff, the forming of it was recorded being and having been criminally foreign influence, and screening it, since. So former director of the F.B.I, Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence the Corrupt Organization Act. Also, two Mendez police brothers and their family, and people that were involved with crimes with campuses, with identity thefts and frauds from other classrooms against other kids that didn't even see them around campus. And They try to make quick exceptions too and use that criminally. And so they have time treatments at interbranch locations where they used and value having been used because they're still doing it more and more. Time used simultaneously, too fast, too slow to get around forever nature. So people are trying to say things of course, things are getting better because of racism and prejudice, because more it is harder, but it's still effectively to deny the Constitution its unabridged qualities, aspects in nature. They've been getting away with it, but what's the Fourth Amendment about? What's this amendment about? All we need to know is Constitution unabridged and Marbury versus Madison. We have both political parties, and so each branch of government individually grouped in together, and each branch, when they're individually, every individual of each branch, every group difference of it, and all together is recorded originally and still how used remotely, pretending its integrity and capable of affording integrity's voice heard. Uses of what is how we think realized. So they're telling little kids, they're with physical delusions, but also with criminal intent. The medical community associated with the various natures of courts and their family members personally criminally involved with overt criminal enterprises and private ones on the campuses here. And they're preventing people from using calm speech because they're doing punk trick games with fact-cheating nature of the courts, attaching people to fake behavior. And with these are people personally tied, like to a Leahy family. And like there's a Dr. Zeman. 3 different times they sent me to Hartford Hospital. Only one time I gave them a good reason. And then they hid that because they knew I caught them. There are, I don't know all their names, but there are people involved with the Connecticut, the Wethersfield Community Center, who have drugs and medicines crimes with roles with Hartford hospitals, patients and criminals involved with crimes with their doctors and their family members, each age of their family member through time. One of the things it is commonly is an identity theft, fraud, slander against each location, sickly distinctly, to keep out sickly non-distinctly, not only not from being not discerned, but everyone's self-valuing not discerned, because everyone's a whole bunch of manifest ill, A, therefore B, fact-cheating nature, qualities and aspects that can't defend it, in other words. And leaving out exceptions, the exception nature. So please, Your Honor, please follow mandated law, Judge Napolitano, Judge Joe Brown, television judges. And please make sure that Judge Janine hears this, because she's also still involved with Fox News. If she did hear this, please get them on paper, Your Honors. There are proofs that they have these narratives where they hurt these kids all kinds of ways, and where they're lying about the nature of other people. They're trying to make little kids just sound bad because they're having problems with other kids. Oh, well, look, he's mean because of that. That could, they're making them fight with each other in fake fights. They're putting fake narratives into databases. They need to mind their business, because the 3 branches of government have offensively pretending to be about legitimate evidence perception, data reception, identity reception. They've been offensively planting evidences, including syntactically. Oh, we have the right to lie. Oh, well, someone could just say that. No, they don't have the right to time where people are going to be, spread lies, and then have roles and backgrounds of all different kinds of natures of falsified police reports, of mail crimes, wire crimes, influences over businesses, interactions with their customers, uses of sense and sensibility, specifically so they can put little illusions or and things where they can deny exceptions, where again, increasingly relevant, and where how they want us to they want things to be contractual with buttons on the internet. They're out of their minds. They can't even they can't defend themselves without offensively valuing was a real reason that negative value nature, progression X nature, so many people are coming into their courts every day. So many people are getting hurt. So many people, so many ways. Because you guys don't follow mandated law and you pretend to other reasons, others, there's no intention, there's no free elections. Fake news, predicate acts are recorded. I'm not saying, in other words, that's not I'm not saying that because the president used that evidence. And I'm speaking to the actual predicate acts of the news, WFSB, and they have wire crime methods with their people who answer the phones. Well, we don't have time. In other words, if you call them and tell them that they attach me to fake words, they attach my family to fake words, they'll say, okay, we'll have, and they've been fake emails too. And so you can't communicate with them over the phone. They're dishonest and delusions wrought simultaneously. And they can't communicate well. And they pretend other people can't. And with faked evidence at their phones. And they already did the wire crimes with the news media. And they're coached to make descriptions about what people said and leave out what we said. Fix the fake words they put with me, WFSB, and say sorry to Judge Napolitano. Especially too, we have to address where they have like people who are involved with the development of a Ray Reynolds and of a Joe DeMoro. They were after they graduated high school. I never had anything to do with Ray Reynolds when he was in high school. I never saw him around high school. Never saw him around middle school. Never saw him in grammar school. I don't even know if he went to my grammar school. He was in my kindergarten class at one that closed down right a year after that. And it had something to do with there's a Rick C.M. Faglione who made all these confessions to me after he graduated about Central Connecticut State University, which girls in my classes had made confessions about Central Connecticut State University. And people like, I didn't know at the time the name, they said Rick C.M. Faglione said one of them was the parents of a Cololo family, of Tim O'Brien, involved with their family and with others. There are also people with courts. That's an executive police form and family. And there are people involved with courts, involved down off my street with people from other parts of Wethersfield with identity theft, frauds instances, rolls with them 2 times. Try to make exceptions to pretend to know you. So they also said that there's a whole bunch of people from Central Connecticut State University reported, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed involved with identity theft, frauds against me, and having been against those kids too. Now when they're adults, now they brought up the clothes, brought up and the O'Briens brought up the modern pastry, and a Fred Grouget is one of the people I recorded, and he agreed to record it. He was influenced, tricked, hurt, persuaded, forced to identity theft, frauds rolls against me with some various natures of courts, judges, families, and police forms. My town's police chief 1 year ago is involved with the same house with identity theft and frauds with them. fake ties to me, fake natures of ties to me, intercities through time. Now, these are the people also involved on off Trinity College through time with ID theft, frauds, falsified police reports, roles, other natures of predicate actual sequence shifts. I don't know their names, all of them. So they have roles and programs. They have foreign and domestic military and some military police families with Mark Violet and his brother Mike Violet, and with Justin Levinskis. I don't know his brother's name, but he's involved with the Cologne name and with the identity theft, fraud, then slanders, and they make arrays, they fake sides, sequence shifts, where they had communications with police since they were kids, fabricating fake arrays, in collusion with uses of instances that were asked about, used to put fake things and to hide things that were actually relevant to that. Like, for example, the identity theft, fraud, slanders actually recorded motivations offensively against others. So you don't talk to strangers. It also means, but we have to learn how to speak. And so these are also people involved with doctors that deal with the departments of the colleges, and then how they are grouped too, like linguistics, part of English. But it is also people involved with medically with how describing how and why people don't speak properly. They're in the furtherance of keeping blamed on other things, others, ourselves, what I caught them involved with. Also, their physical delusions, as people that are supposed to be the experts on delusions still recorded delusions wrought. That's evidence too. We need to use what is simultaneous as value. That's why they need to follow mandated law. The British Superior Court, Hartford courts, and Middletown courts have been sticking fake things into databases with child sex offenders. So please get them on paper now, Your Honor. Judge Napolitano, they hid this from you. They use your Facebook to do this. They have a crime method too, where they use the sequences. They have victims advocates recorded and involved, used to force where and how they have the little boys and girls parted to roles, hurt, sickly, distinctly, to keep how sickly, non-distinctly from being discerned. And that is each age of the grounds, human science, human correlation, nature's actual course, increasingly dactyliterior from that one that causes positive value nature progressions, acts, and natures at all locations, areas, and states. That one that requires now, too, simultaneously, how breaching method put criminal insidiousness natures of positive of means to cause positive value nature progressions, acts, and natures, specifically to make fake exceptions, specifically to have entertain what can't entertain itself, and not have nature demonstrate negative value natures, progressions, acts, and natures, and demonstration of it. And what can't hide that without means already prevented, like blame things on slavery. That's an offensive affront. That's child abuse to tell a little kid. It's child abuse to try to counter that. To try, we see, they're calling it's the liberals, or it's the conservatives. What is being conservative and what is liberal? Their delusions juxtaposed. They're being forced. Oh, but that's only side. That's the side. That's your only voice. Mandated law is offensively prevented by those pretending to be for it righteously, because that's all it's capable of being manifest because of this time methods where they're delaying, and this is criminally foreign uses of all locations singularly. So respond for, because also the location is next to the campuses, so we don't have to bring in other people's names, because they also lie about their passion, their emotions when I'm bringing up strangers' names, and ones that are pretending I'm bringing up their names because I had something to do with them in the past. I had nothing to do with them in the past. All exceptions, exception, nature, and demonstration, same thing. I was only polite to the Christine Bedard, / Christine Tardet, and there were other Christines involved with a Jonathan Maya, and there were other girlfriends of his involved with predicate acts on off Central Connecticut State University, and with the child sex offender in Wethersfield principal, and other principals, and one principal's father has further police involved with the upskirt pictures and uses of them as the people involved with medical crimes with the kids, including intellectual. So please don't delay anymore, because this is also relevant to where and how they use the syntax with torture. And they have Afghanistan involved with them before the World Trade Center attack. They have Korea involved with them before this World Trade Center attack, with various natures, drugs and medicines crimes, with various natures of courts. Supposed to be against that stuff, having been putting people in jail for that. And they're doing sicker things than those people have been doing, and against innocents. They even have a traffic stop with one of the officers involved on off Central Connecticut State University, involved with Hartford courts and their family members, also at West Hartford locations, and then trying to hide their life progressions by making a traffic stop criminally. And he will put his name Hunter. I don't know if that's his real name or what it is. But this is also people involved with the lawyer, Robert Cheverie, the lawyer of Robert Luskin, former standing chairperson on Racketeering Influence Corrupt Organization Act, and his co-defendants, like a John Leconche has a daughter who was in my grade. I never had a class with her, never saw her around campus. She's involved with the people with predicate acts on and off my campuses. Identity theft, fraud, slanders, attaching me to fake words and locations with interbranch family members, people that made falsified police reports that they also don't even know the extent of. Two, when the interbranch say, oh, it's just because of that, or the pain, they don't know the extent of the damage when they put little lies in there and ignore their physical delusions while they're pretending other people are with such from background. So WFSB, Fox Connecticut News, and other Connecticut news, like New Britain Herald, has people recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by police forms and overt people involved with overt criminal enterprise at Central Connecticut State University, has them involved with identity thefts and frauds and slanders and planting evidences intercities, like that locations on Franklin Avenue, as people involved with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso next to the state judicial branch offices, also confirmed various ways by a Fianza family on Facebook. So they had people influenced to plant evidences and make confessions into context, so people will leave things out when they're brought up by investigators later. They use such like that to lock people criminally foreign influence since they were kids going into the police station. There was a Chris Walters who confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, recorded since he was a little kid. He was forced, tricked, hurt, persuaded, and worse, made to be a little an evidence fabricated, an identity theft, fraud, slander tool, and forced to falsify police reports, other natures of child abuses of him. His roles with police forms, where they have their roles with the types of drugs. They use that only to keep the types of the uses of the locations, like next to Trinity College, next to the campuses, where they have readings, and the interbranch. They use crime methods where they have parties involved with identity theft, fraud. Someone's going to go by and they're just going to see them for a minute with someone else, and they don't even, they're pretending they know them. You know what I mean? They go out of their way to use identity ground locations like this. Town Line Drive and Saustine Highway, the businesses next to it, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. There's the Dillon family as one of the ones involved with families that used to live on my street, involved on off Trinity College, on off Central Connecticut State University, with relevant predicate acts. And I still haven't gotten a response for anything since before the World Trade Center attack. I asked for simple things. They keep putting more people's fake conversation with me. They make confessions, bring up their family members, their fake motivations. It's really motivated. Christine Tardet, good girl. You know, she was abused since she was a kid in high school. With John Leconche was involved with them. John Leconche and the others with that court, the Britain Superior Court, since before I met John Leconche, involved with sequences with them. And I had to stay back that year. They did that also as a trick to pretend I knew John Leconche. Just stick it, and that's why I met him that year. And in other words, that speech teacher, I forgot her name, and another speech teacher the next year also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed a whole bunch of ways involved with drugs and medicines, crimes with kids, as doctors and with doctors. And I don't know if the second one was a doctor, but she was also involved with one of the guy who said he was a partner of the Kevin Dillon. He's one of the ones involved with My Street with the principal sex offender and uses of him roles, because there were people more child abuses than he was involved with, and or he was involved with more too, with them. And also these is with female judges, black and white, used remotely. That is also evidence. And females and males and male judges used remotely at that court through time too. But they put themselves in there because they've been roles needing to hide uses of themselves and their family members. So it's mixed. So we have to have mandated law followed and get them onto paper, please. Your Honor, Judge Napolitano. There are proofs that they have, they have a guy who they have like sexually, charged instances, roles, but through time connected intercities with the people at Central Connecticut State University. There are multiple people with the name Joe DeMauro, recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, having been like involved with sexual circles with other police where they lie to the girls they're with. And they pretend to hate each other about sharing them. In other words, the whole narratives were just to get them to wire crime, mail crimes, confessions to strangers. In other words, that's the only reason I know that, because they went out of their way to pretend to get me to near them, and then to pretend I'm bringing up the past because of them. They brought that up. They put themselves in my past and with people that I don't even know tied to them, putting fake things in records. They don't have integrity into branch. Oh, but we trained for this. You didn't. They can't speak for the law. They can't speak for truth, speaks for the law. So please get them on paper now, Your Honor. And Fox News too, CNN, MSNBC. I was complaining about this before you guys started putting charges against the people in your thing. In other words, you guys are hiding what's actually recorded. They have a child abuse subreddit for example, on Reddit, and they have the child abuse on Facebook. They have the policing interbranch, criminally using the online companies' sense and sensibilities, and with the military, distinctly from their own retired and standing interbranch. They never had integrity, many ways. Excuse me, that's evidence. So we have to deal with how they have physical delusions and criminally foreign influence takes on what is legitimate evidence perception, data perception, and identity perception. And we have to do it fast. Because we don't have to, in other words, that's where that's where bad things are with the statistics manifest on and off campuses, etc. That's where and how they've justified the sciences abridged, obfuscated, and worse simultaneously. They're not legitimate. They already built people pretending other, needing to. Those are excuses. So we have to use what is positive and negative simultaneously. We have a whole bunch of natures, styles of people pretending that They can't handle negatives. Oh, but that's why they keep bringing the subjects treatment, leaving out exceptions. That you don't bring up slavery without bringing up the torture that goes with it. You know what I'm saying? If we're going to do it, if we're going to have the law spoken for by honesty once at last, beginning class, vaccine. So real fast, Fox News, CNN, MSNBC, please follow mandated law. And please, Judge Napolitano, because I know you're better than this. It's scary. The physical delusions with the rest of it, juxtaposed with the I think that fraud nature's needs and styles offensively were actually recorded. Not one reported true. Oh, I tell you to.